August 2019. A 17-year-old high school student in Wisconsin arrives at the ER. He can barely breathe. His lungs are failing. X-rays show they're filled with fluid, like someone who's been drowning. He's never smoked cigarettes, never had asthma. He's an athlete, perfectly healthy. What have you been using? Vaping. He vaped. That's it. And now his lungs look like chemical burns. Within weeks, hospitals nationwide report identical cases. Young, healthy people, lungs failing, all vapors. 2,807 hospitalized, 68 dead, average age 24, and no one knows what's killing them. The investigation will reveal a black market poison, a shortcut to bigger profits, and an invisible oil coating thousands of lungs. This is Outbreak, Episode 6, The Vaping Lung Collapse. July and August 2019. ERs across America see something new and terrifying. Teenagers and young adults in severe respiratory distress. Oxygen levels dangerously low. Lungs inflamed. No clear cause. The X-rays all look the same. Lungs filled with fluid and inflammation, like chemical pneumonitis, as if they'd inhaled something toxic. When we ask about exposures, one pattern keeps coming back. I vape. By late August, the CDC is getting reports from multiple states, Illinois, Wisconsin, California, New York, all the same mysterious lung illness, all linked to vaping. Case counts climb by the week, 215, 450, over 500 by mid-September. Newsrooms call it a vaping crisis. Yet inside CDC, there's a problem. This isn't a virus. It isn't a bacterium. It's something in the products themselves. Panic spreads. Millions of Americans vape. Are all vapes deadly? Should everyone stop immediately? Parents raid kids' rooms looking for vape pens. Schools rush to ban vaping on campus. Some states move to ban all flavored vapes. Meanwhile, industry insists their regulated nicotine products are safe, that something else must be to blame. But patients keep arriving. Lungs keep failing. And CDC still cannot point to a single culprit. Investigators start with the obvious question. What exactly are these patients inhaling? Some used nicotine pods from big-name brands. Many used THC cartridges, often from friends, parties, or informal sellers. Others used both, nicotine during the day, THC at night. The products came from different brands, different states, different sellers. There was no single device, no single brand to blame. By early September, New York State investigators run detailed chemical analyses on vape liquids from sick patients. Hundreds of compounds appear. But one keeps showing up in THC cartridges from the hospitalized and rarely anywhere else. Vitamin E acetate. A thick, sticky oil usually found in skin creams and dietary supplements. Harmless when swallowed or rubbed on your skin, but no one ever studied what happens when you heat it and inhale it deep into your lungs. When vitamin E acetate is vaporized and inhaled, it doesn't simply vanish. It condenses in the lungs as a sticky oil. It coats the tiny air sacs, the alveoli, that normally exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide. Coated in oil, those alveoli collapse. Oxygen can't get in. Carbon dioxide can't get out. It's like lining the inside of your lungs with Vaseline. You suffocate from the inside out. Why was vitamin E acetate in these cartridges at all? Because THC oil is expensive and vitamin E acetate is cheap. Both are thick, clear oils. To the eye, they look identical. On the street, a $50 cartridge, quietly cut 30% with vitamin E acetate, becomes $15 of pure profit. Dealers saw a perfect cutting agent. To their customers, the cartridges looked and vaped just like the real thing, until their lungs began to fail. These poisoned cartridges rarely came from licensed dispensaries with testing and tracking. They came from informal, unregulated channels, friends of friends, street dealers, sketchy online shops. Packaging looked official, brand names sounded legitimate. But behind the labels, there was no regulation, no lab testing, and no accountability when lungs began collapsing. By the time symptoms appeared, shortness of breath, chest pain, cough, nausea, the damage was often advanced. Some Valley patients needed mechanical ventilation. Others required ECMO, a machine that oxygenates blood outside the body. 2,807 people were hospitalized. 68 died. Many were in their late teens or 20s. Survivors described feeling like they had lungs of a 60-year-old smoker after a single summer of vaping cheap cartridges. In September 2019, CDC gives the illness a name, EVALI, E-cigarette or vaping product use-associated lung injury. The diagnosis requires severe lung damage, a history of recent vaping, and no better explanation. Treatment is blunt. Stop vaping immediately. Deliver high-dose steroids to calm the inflammation. Support oxygen by nasal cannula, mask, or ventilator. In the worst cases, ECMO or lung transplant. There is no antidote, only time and aggressive supportive care. EVALI cases peak in September 2019, then drop almost as quickly as they rose. Public warnings go out. Users are told to avoid informal THC cartridges. Black market makers quietly stop using vitamin E acetate once they realize investigators are testing for it. In November, CDC confirms vitamin E acetate in lung fluid from 48 of 51 patients tested. The signal is clear enough that the practical advice is simple: avoid these products, and the outbreak stops. In the aftermath, the vaping world splits. Legal nicotine vape companies argue, largely correctly, that their regulated products were not driving EVALI. Legal THC dispensaries in tightly regulated states emphasize testing and traceability. But the unregulated THC vape market, which lived in the shadows, collapses under public scrutiny. States raise minimum ages, restrict flavors, and mandate testing. FDA steps up enforcement, but black markets never fully disappear, they adapt. 2 years after the peak of EVALI, many survivors still carry the scars. CT scans show persistent areas of damage. Lung function tests reveal reduced capacity. Some young adults now get winded walking upstairs. A few required lung transplants. Not everyone lived long enough to receive one. For a generation told that vaping was the safe alternative, EVALI was a brutal correction. Today, millions still vape. Nicotine and THC, legal and illegal. Vitamin E acetate has largely vanished from the supply because manufacturers know we are looking for it. But other cutting agents exist, and most have never been tested for safety when inhaled. Unregulated products, unknown ingredients, and a willing market remain. EVALI cases are now sporadic, not epidemic. The outbreak ended. The underlying risk did not. A new generation has already forgotten crowded ICUs and emergency lung transplants. They see sleek devices, candy flavors, viral vape tricks. They do not see the oil that once coated thousands of lungs. EVALI proved that vaping is not risk-free, and that black market products can turn a weekend habit into respiratory failure. When you inhale from an unregulated cartridge, you do not truly know what is inside until your lungs start to fail. By then, it may be too late. EVALI, the vaping lung collapse, hospitalized 2,807 people and killed 68. Most had used THC cartridges, often from black market sources, many cut with vitamin E acetate. The outbreak faded when the public learned what to avoid. But unregulated markets, unknown ingredients, and chemical shortcuts are still with us. If you develop breathing problems after vaping, stop immediately, tell your doctor what you used, and seek care. For more stories like these, visit unbedsidemanners.com.